it covers everything that needs to be known for zakat. So let's move on. The first slide. Disclaimer, these slides have been made by scholars for presentation purposes only. Anyone looking through these slides to calculate your zakat, is still best you consult your local scholar to calculate your zakat. Don't try to calculate it yourself. You can have a rough idea how to calculate it, but then do confirm it. That, have I done it right? This is all the cash I have, this is all the gold I have, this is all the livestock I have, and we'll find out what's zakatable asset today. That's the main purpose. We're going to find out what is zakat and what is not zakat. What is zakat? Zakat is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Straight into it, it's one of the bases of Islam. Zakat is equally as important as your fasting, equally as important as your salah. You can't have one and the other. If somebody denies zakat, they are out of Islam. You can't. It's something that cannot be you cannot deny. So it is an obligation upon Muslims. There was, during the time of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, when he became the leader, he became the leader of all the Muslims because the Prophet ﷺ passed away. So leadership was now under him. There was a group of Muslims, a tribe. They came to Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu and they said, look, we'll still be Muslims, but we're not going to pay the zakat. We've just accepted Islam. The Prophet has passed away. We'll still follow you as a leader, but take the zakat of us. We could do with our wealth. We need every inch of our wealth. And Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu says, no, I can't do that. Zakat is as important as salah. They said they'll do everything else, but they won't do zakat. So Umar radiallahu anhu even said to Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu that they said, if you don't accept this, then we're going to leave Islam. And or we're going to wage war. And Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu says, so be, I will wage war with you. Because you're about to distort you're about to manipulate with the religion now. You can't say, I'll follow the religion and I won't, give zakat. So then Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu said, Ya Khalifat Rasulillah, you sure? These guys are still saying they'll pray salah. They're not contradicting anything but zakat. Can you just let them off? He said, no, even if I'm the last man standing to wage war with them and nobody backs me up, Abu Bakr Siddiq, I'll wage war. And then Umar radiallahu anhu then later realizes that, wow, I always thought I was the strict one. I thought Abu Bakr Siddiq was the soft one. But here he's shown how strong he is. When it comes to following the religion, he wouldn't budge. He goes, you cannot, just because my fellow Prophet ﷺ has passed away, you want to take advantage. You want to announce it. You think it's a tax. It's not a tax. Zakat has been established, part of our faith, that we look after the poor. So zakat is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. It is an obligation upon Muslims. The literal meaning of the word zakat is to purify. All the earnings that we get, it's not pure until we give a portion of it to zakat. Then we can consider the rest for us to eat is halal, all the rest of our savings. Zakat is defined as the transfer of ownership. When you define zakat, it's the transfer of ownership of a certain amount of wealth that has been prescribed by the Sharia from the rich to the poor. That transfer is called zakat, also known as tamlik. Tamlik means transfer of ownership. The moment the rich hands over the money to the poor receives it, your zakat has been executed, fulfilled. Until then, if you still say, no, I'm not going to do it like that, I'm going to do it different ways, I'll just give it to the masjid and the poor person can benefit from the masjid. I said, no, that's not going to work. It has to go into the hands of the poor. Right. What about I'll build a hospital for poor people? So again, you've not made a single person owner of that wealth. It's now become an entity. So again, it's not going to work. So it says here, who is not a Hashimi? What's this? Who is not a Hashimi? Means somebody who belongs to the family of the Prophet ﷺ. He was from Banu Hashim, remember? So the Prophet ﷺ, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, a prophet and a prophet's family is never allowed to receive charity. Never. If you give anything as charity, the Prophet ﷺ would never eat from that money. This was tested by Salman al-Farisi. He once came and he saw signs of prophethood. He wanted to find out who this last prophet is. He was given 3 signs. One sign is he'll come to Medina. Second sign is he will never take charity. And the third sign is he'll have a seal on his between his shoulder blades at the back. So Salman al-Farisi, when he came to Medina, he saw a man appearing and saying that he's a prophet. And everyone sang Tala al-Badru alayna. So he thought, wow, this is probably the man. I've been searching for this man. I've come all the way from Persia. Then he sat with his companion Salman al-Farisi, started to grab some dates that he could, and he handed it to the Prophet. He says, "Oh, Messenger of God, I've given you this dates as charity. Please take it from me as charity." And the Prophet took the dates and he started to distribute the dates amongst his companions. They all ate, he didn't eat himself. And Salman al-Farisi like, yes, second sign done. I can see he's not eaten from those dates because it's charity. A prophet would never eat from charity. And then the third sign, he started to walk around the Prophet ﷺ. As the Prophet ﷺ was naturally talking to his people, he's starting to walk around. And as he was walking, the Prophet ﷺ noticed what Salman al-Farisi was up to. So the Prophet ﷺ unbuttoned his thobe, his garment, and he just took it a bit backwards so then he can see the seal of the Prophet. And when he saw that, he said, "Wow, you are the Prophet, I accept Islam." So this is a nice story to know. But again, Hashimi, the whole family will go into who the Hashimis are, and neither slaves of Hashimi for the sake of Allah. So you can't give zakat to the Hashimi. On whom is zakat fard? Zakat harfle farz. Musliman itiba, Muslim, Zuano itiba, adult. But zakat farz, even if the kid is rich. It doesn't matter if he's a millionaire and all belongs to that child, being child trust fund, people have child trust fund, that means it belongs to the child, and there's millions in the child trust fund. Again, that child will give nothing, zero. Wait till the child's at least an adult. According to this country, 18, because he has no access to those millions until he turns 18. So again, there's no zakat on this child until he turns 18. So number three, a sane person. He has to be able to distinguish what's right and wrong. Although if he's autistic a bit, even though he's 25, 30 and he's an autistic person, people might, just take him for a ride and take his money. So it's not fair on him. He wouldn't know how to give zakat, so he's exempt. A free person, not a slave, that doesn't apply anymore. We don't have slaves. And then he who owns the nisab. Now, this is a key word over here, nisab. If you are the owner of nisab is a threshold. So I want you to imagine this is £0 over here. And then you go up and there's the nisab line, the end line. If you go past that line, we'll find out what that line is. How much is it that you need to have? How much saving? When you reach up to how much that I am now activated, I need to give zakat now. As soon as you hit the end nisab line, according to Islam, you're rich. Because if I ask you now who's rich, who's poor, it's subjective. I think if somebody has £1 million, he's rich. Another person says £1 million, no, that's not rich. You have to have at least 1 billion now, Now we hear of trillionaires, so it keeps on changing. Yeah. So is that understood? So what's rich? Islam has already defined 1400 years ago what a rich is, and we'll find out what that is. There's a threshold. So now, so it says, and he owns the nisab threshold from the wealth that is fully owned by him in excess of his personal needs. So don't count, if he's got 3 cars at home and he's driving, that's fine, don't count those. It's in excess. And he goes over that nisab threshold. We'll find out what that is. And then it says, so he's got clothing, they won't count, these are personal stuff, household furniture, utensils, cars, it doesn't matter how many he has on his drive, even if he's got 10 for no particular reason, he'll be sinful for wasting money for why you got a collection of cars for no reason, or 7 cars, 1 for every day of the week, imagine, right? Are termed as articles of personal use. C, of a productive nature, so it has to be productive nature from which he can derive profit or benefit, such as cash is productive. He can gain benefit, gold, silver. So in these forms, you give zakat. Merchandise for business. This is one a lot of Bengali people are not aware of. Because kids as young as, I shouldn't call them kids, they're mature. According to Islam, they're mature. So they're baligh. They've already reached the age of puberty, the age of 13, 14. And they're selling stuff on Amazon, on eBay. You need to tell them, you need to give zakat on that stuff, They're like, I didn't know. I thought zakat is only on the tangible money. No, zakat is on merchandise. What are you doing with all these phones in your front room? Or phone cases, for example. So imagine whatever he's selling, say halal, I don't go into vapes and all that. No, people are doing that as well. But let's say he's going into like things which are genuine. So he's selling phones. He's buying phones for 100 quid and he sells them for 150 quid. He's making good business. And every time, £50 profit on every phone he buys. How he sources it, we don't know. But if he's got about 10 phones in his house, so he spent how much on those 10 phones? If he's buying 1,000, guess how he needs to give zakat not on the 1,000. Guess what he needs to give zakat on the market value of those phones. So if they're selling 150 times 10 is it 1,500? Was that correct? Yeah. So 1,500, then divide that by 40, and that will give you how much zakat you need to give. So yeah, kids who are listening, and I say kids because we call them kids. Islamically, they're not kids. You're 13, 14, reach the age of puberty, and you're now earning, then you need to give zakat. Right. And mashallah, many people I'm sure who are selling all sorts online. We got sisters who are now selling things on Instagram. They're baking, they're making milk cakes, and they're making all kinds of smoothies. And so all this, if they are stocking things in their house, zakat needs to be given on that stock. Next, so you've got merchandise for business, pensions, shares as well. Anyone who's got shares, livestock, these probably apply to people back home. Livestock, sheep, cows, goats. Mashallah, there are people who have big land in Bangladesh, and they've got pastures of loads of cows and sheep. So they'll have to also give zakat on that as well. It's not 2.5%, by the way. This is the only one which is not 2.5. That's different. That's per every 40 sheep, you give one sheep. That's different. It's nothing to do with 2.5%. Well, technically, it is. And then the wealth should be possessed by him for a complete lunar year. What's lunar year? So, for example, Ramadan is according to lunar calendar. So, imagine 15th of Ramadan was the first time he became rich. He went over the nisab line. Imagine it was Ramadan. Then he has to make a note in his diary that, it happened on the 15th of Ramadan. I earned quite a bit of salary and I went above that threshold. So I need to wait till 15th of Ramadan next year. And on that exact day, I need to give zakat. Everyone's zakat date is personal. I repeat, everyone's zakat date is personal. Not everyone is Ramadan. Why do Asian people give, or Muslims like to give zakat in Ramadan? We'll talk about that later. But it's not your real date. It was probably overdue. You don't even know. So we'll find out. Because everyone has to calculate, when did you become rich? Not everyone becomes rich in Ramadan. The very first time you earned your salary or you earned a lump sum of money. So moving on, note, there is no zakat on types of wealth that are not of a productive nature, even if these are in excess of one's needs, such as cars, utensils, furniture. If such items are not intended for trade, sale, or hire, then it's fine. You can have loads of pots at home and loads of plates and utensils and furniture. You've got so much chairs at home. Actually, TCR boita se goro. What should we do? Ita lagi kunu zakat na. Ita khoi ba ita mag goro mal. Ita amar. Arita kunu best ban na. I've not bought it to sell. If you suddenly decide, I've got a bit too much, got about 4 TVs in my house. I want to sell about 3. If you decide to sell, then again, it's not a zakatable asset yet. Once you sell it, once you gain the money from it, and if it adds to your savings, then only then. You still can't class that as merchandise because you just suddenly decided you want to sell the item that was in your house. What's the difference between merchandise? Merchandise is this is merchandise. At the time of buying, when you have the niyyah that I want to sell it, I'm buying to sell, I mean that's merchandise. If you already bought 4 TVs or 10 gari kine rakiliso, but you're saying ita best ban na, আমি কিনছি গাড়ি আমার তাহতো বাদে এক বছর পরে যখন বেচতাম এটা আমার ইচ্ছা, that's different. ঠিক এটার উপরে যাকাত নাই. So when you sell, when the money comes. Right, so that's moving on. Now, here comes the nisab. Let's find out what nisab is. Nisab is based on gold and silver according to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam fixed it. This is permanently fixed. This will never change. 20 dinars of gold and 200 dirhams of silver during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 1400 years ago, was the same amount. It was matching. 200 silver coins was equal to 20 dinars. Today it's not. It's a massive difference. Cash value. And we'll have a look. So grams hishabe, because obviously we don't deal with amrato, we don't know what dinar and dirhams is anymore. So we do understand what grams are. So what is 20 dinars of gold? It's 87.48 grams of gold. What that is in body, I don't know, but they put tola. So that's subcontinent people like to use tolas as well. 7.5 tolas of gold or 52.5 tolas of silver. Body হিসাবে মই জানতাম না, ওটা গ্রামও থাকি যাক, এটা আল্লাহ রাসূলের গ্রাম হিসাবে হইছে নাকি. So 87.48 grams of gold. Heusen otahan donio yeta hai Zakat do alagbo. Anlaine otohandonio yeta. Anyone who has 612.36 grams of silver. Now, what is that in British pounds? We need to convert that now. In today's rate, if you're giving zakat today, if you're going to give zakat 6 months later, you have to then convert it 6 months later. Not now, it won't work because it keeps fluctuating. This is at value at 2022, the 24th of April 2022. Guess, so it's saying, and we should all go off this one, by the way. If you have cash, silver, and gold, everything a bit mixed, then you should all base it on this much. This figure is only based on people who have gold only. For example, many of our wives might have no other money to their name, but they only have the gold from their wedding. If that's the case, if that's her only asset, then she has to base it on this figure. But again, these figures are wrong. These are figures from 2022. How do we find out what the latest figures are? And I can tell you now, this is more than triple. It's tripled. Everything's tripled. Yeah, Allah. Just within a space of 4 years.
Every day to buy for me, but
Oh, it's crazy. Do you want to know? We're going to find out now. Look, so it says here, if a person's wealth reaches a threshold of gold or silver, they will be obliged to give zakat, as it has become fard on them. So this does not mean that the above is the amount to be given in zakat. That's not the amount you give in zakat. Don't get confused. That's if you're this rich. So if a person only has gold as asset, if they only have gold, then they base it on this. Then the nisab measure of gold must be used. However, if someone has mixture of assets, so they've got a bit of silver, they've got a bit of gold at home, they've got cash savings in the bank, and now you're going to mix it now. My cash, I've got 5,000, my gold is worth another 5,000, that's 10,000. From that, I need to give 2 point. So you have to now, if it's mixed, then you check, are you over this threshold? So let's have a look. A certain and the current monetary value of the nisab limit it is necessary to establish the market rate for the gram of gold and silver. This can be obtained from this website, wellwishers.org.uk. Let's do that right now. We go to wellwishers. Where is it? Wellwishers.org.uk. You click on it. It's nice and easy. Scroll all the way down until you see that is, it's on the side. So here, silver nisab, look at that, 1,000. We just read £300 on that screen. £1,246.85. Anybody who has cash savings, gold and silver if you have any, merchandise, put that all into one basket, and if it's worth £1,246.85, then you need to start giving zakat. So this is Islam considers this person rich if they have extra dairy fuisha. After your personal needs and all that, after your bills, your monthly bills, everything else, if you've got monthly payments, even for your house payments, you deduct all that and then check, do you still have this much lying in the bank? Is this extra? £1,246.85. Remember that figure. That's 2 days. Exactly. It's going to change tomorrow. You might just go a few pence. So gold nisab. If anyone has only gold, it's 10,000. What did that other slide say? 4,000. It's gone up. So 10,800. So now one gold tola is worth 1,447. It also tells you mahar azwaj. Mahar of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ. When he married, how much mahar did he give to his wives? This much. So if somebody says, I like to give sunnat mahar, I want to give same mahar as what the Prophet ﷺ gave average to his wives, then this is a nice figure. As an imam, I have to mention that you want to give mahar, it'd be nice if you give them £3,117, 14 pence. That means you're following the sunnah of today's currency. If they say, no, I want to base it on the mahar of Fatima radiallahu anha. The Prophet told Ali radiallahu anhu, give Fatima radiallahu anha the shield that you have. So he didn't know how, he thought, I can't just give the shield to my wife. So he sold the shield. And the shield was bought by Uthman radiallahu anhu. He bought it for 480 dirhams, silver coins. What's that equivalent to today? £3,562.44. If you got married only 2 years ago, it was £1,000. Look how it shot up. That's crazy. Allahu Akbar. Mahar Fatimi, just like a few years ago, I remember I was doing it for £800. People say Mahar Fatimi, it's only 800. I worked it out. Look, yeah. Anyway, that's still affordable, I would say. It's still decent. And our Muslim brothers and our uncles and aunties should try their best to stay within this frame. Make marriage affordable, Mahar Fatimi. Again, you don't need to marry on Mahar Fatimi. Why if somebody goes, do I have to? I can't even afford that. That's fine. The Prophet ﷺ rather have you married. Then your minimum mahar. Yes? Someone online got a question? Just mute yourself, please, if you don't mind. So minimum mahar. The bare minimum mahar is 10 silver coins. Ashara darahima. The books of the Hanafis, they follow that minimum mahar at least 10 dirham for iman. 10 dirham khato, 62 pounds 34. If any brother comes to Rawdatul Ilm and says, I want to marry, I've got a sister upstairs ready, I want to marry her, will you marry me to her? I'll say, do you have 62 pounds 34? Bare minimum. Igun tahe, tikase. So anyway, that's because we need to make marriage as cheap as possible. Brothers and sisters want to get married nowadays. Mashallah, it's good to see there is a uprise of younger generation that don't want all this lavish wedding anymore. They say they want small, little, they want no photography. Even young generations are saying this now, mashallah. It's good to hear this. Right, so good website to remember, wellwishers.org.uk. Please remember this website. Moving on. So the rate of zakat, which was fixed by the Prophet ﷺ, was 2.5%, or you can also consider as 1/40th, i.e. 2.5 pence in a pound. Types of wealth on which zakat is fard. Zakat is fard on gold. Gold is zakat. Silver. Be in a form of bullion. Sometimes you get in a bullion form, in like a brick form. That's fine. Still, it doesn't matter. Kun halote shunate bo dollar. টুকরা শোনা হরিয়া তাকে বুলিয়ন ফর্ম কিতা হয় এটার বাংলাতে বুলিয়ন আগে ব্যাংক থেকে কিনা যায় কোনো সময় সো jewelry হিসাবে যখন থেকে শোনা তা ওই you'll have to weigh that. It doesn't matter what form the gold's in. Utensils, you could have a golden spoon in your house for whatever reason. That needs to be right, or any other form. The value of these should be equal to the amount which is shown under nisab rate. White gold and rose gold also falls under gold. It's actually gold in disguise. It is also gold and therefore will be zakatable. Yeah. So men in general, we're not allowed to wear jewelry except for silver. Even when we get married, I know a lot of Bangladeshi people, they break the rules then. They're like, bichari dilam shunareta antite, amare shunadita nahi. That tikoy na. So she's allowed to wear the gold, that's fine. And the man, we can only wear one silver ring because the Prophet always wore one silver ring. Not platinum, not any other metal, not even white gold because it's still gold. Right? Note, in the event of an article not being of pure gold or pure silver, if you've got a jewelry that's not pure gold or pure silver, but containing mixture of other metals as well, then all you do is check what's dominant. If it's dominantly gold, class it as gold. If it's dominantly silver, class it as silver. If it's dominantly metal, no zakat. There's only a tiny bit of silver on there, that's fine. Don't consider that as silver or gold. All types of money, such as cash in the bank, banknotes, foreign currency, you need to add that to your zakat total. See, and then merchandise for business, income of properties. Imagine, mashallah, you've got tinta goras tumar. So goror dame nae. Goror income the income that you get from the rent, that's going to go towards your zakat, not the value of the house. That's fine. Even if you've got 10 houses, it doesn't matter. So it says income derived from hiring businesses such as cars, vans. As people hire cars out, mashallah. My cousin brother has what's it called? Travel Prestige. He's got loads of big expensive cars. He doesn't give zakat on the cars. He only gives zakat on the income he gets from hiring. Right? So livestock, sheep, goats, cattle, pensions, that's upon receiving though. So if it's collating but you don't have access to it, there's no zakat on it. Wait till you receive your pension. And then finally, let's move my face out of the way. And then you've got stocks. Types of wealth on which zakat is not fard. Zakat is not fard on any other metal besides gold and silver. Any other metal, no matter how precious it is, you don't need to give zakat on it. Like platinum. Platinum is very expensive, more expensive than silver. Still, no zakat on it. Islam doesn't recognize it. Right? There is no zakat on diamonds, pearls, or other precious or semi-precious stones which are of personal use. There is no zakat on imitation jewelry. Plated. If it's plated, no, we don't. That's not zakat. Zakat is not fard on fixtures and fittings of a shop, motor car, truck, or any delivery vehicle. So if you've got extra cars but you use them for delivery, that's fine. That's part of your business. Don't add that to your zakat. You got fixtures, you got expensive shelves, thousands of pounds from IKEA you bought. The very expensive shelves, but you don't put them towards zakat. You need that as part of your business. Right. A person possesses nisab There is no zakat on any number of living quarters, household furniture, utensils, personal clothing, whether they are in use or not. Even if you got a collection of shoes, sisters, right? If you got a collection of shoes, brothers as well, I should say, actually. If you got a collection of caps and shoes and coats, you just like to collect them. However, there's no zakat on that, even though you collected it. But Islam does not justify extravagance. Extravagance in Arabic is called israf. Israf is haram. If you just buy it for the sake of buying it because you can, but you don't really use it. So Islam will question that. Like, why are you buying things that you're not using? Whereas there are people in the third world that are dying. Khafonai, Zutanai, they don't have shoes, kapra. And so it is haram if you just have loads of shoes for no reason. Donate it. You only wear 3 of those pairs now. Donate the rest. So Allah says, Inna Allah la yuhibbul musrifin. Allah does not like the person who wastes, who's extravagant. A person possesses nisab but owes money. So fair enough. What was the nisab again? Let's go back. So a person, he is £1,246.85 rich, but he owes somebody £1,000. No zakat on him. But he's got that much saving in his banks. But but if the other person says it's fine, I don't need it now, you should still give it, no point holding on to it. Say, I have it, just take it. Why would I give zakat on that? Take the 1,000, then I'm left with 406 pounds 85 pence. Because I have to pay you back anyway at one point, so just take it now. So this is understand that nisab has now dropped. That means he's no longer an owner of nisab. Who pays zakat? Owner of nisab. What's the owner of nisab called in Arabic? Sahibul nisab. So if you're sahib nisab, you give zakat. You're not sahib nisab, you're not a nisab malik, then don't give zakat. You don't have more than this much saving. Now, in this day and age, you'd be surprised. You got 16-year-olds, 15, 16-year-olds that may have this much in their account as well. So they need to give zakat because Islam doesn't wait till they're 18. According to Islam, they can, if they have access to that amount, then they have to give zakat. If they don't have access, if it's in the child trust fund, then it won't work. So £1,246.85. Remember that number. We're going to mention that throughout the whole course. So a person possesses nisab but owes money, which is deducted from one's wealth. We will leave one with an amount not equaling or exceeding nisab. They won't need to give zakat anymore. When to pay zakat? This is the biggest question of our life. Why is everyone giving it in Ramadan? Imagine all you have to say was Ramadan, finish next slide. It's not that simple. Zakat is only payable on assets which have been held for 1 lunar year. Fair enough. I need to make sure that nisab, when it went up 1,000, let's say 1,500, argument's sake. So £1,500, I held that amount and I waited for a year, lunar year. So say it was Muharram, I waited for next Muharram, and then I'm still £1,500 rich. That means I need to give zakat. But by next Muharram, if my money dropped and I'm only £400 rich, no zakat on me. I just wait till the year after now. So he has to, for Iman, that money, you have to maintain it for a year. So the zakat year starts only when a person first becomes sahibun nisab, that's the golden word, i.e. the owner of wealth equal to or in excess of nisab. So if he hits exactly that amount, 1,400, keeps disappearing that, 1,200, sorry. So 1,246, we'll round it up. So let's say 1,250. For today's seminar, let's just call it 1,250. So I'm not having to go back to it each time. So whoever's got £1,250, he is sahib nisab. Date when a person becomes sahib nisab. What's your date? You need to all get your calendars out on your phone now. And you have to estimate. If you've forgotten, do your best estimation. When were you £1,250 rich? When was the last time you can remember that? That you went above that. That's the date, not Ramadan. That's the date, that's the Islamic month. So an individual zakat year starts on the date their wealth first equaled the nisab. The zakat liability should be calculated every year thereafter on that date. So it could be 10th of Muharram. That's a famous day. Everyone remembers 10th of Muharram. So imagine 10th of Muharram, all of a sudden my first ever salary came and I get a good salary. I get about 1,500 a month. And alhamdulillah, I went above nisab straight away. I'm going to remember that date now. Yeah, I got some bills to pay. But at least I'm good in my savings. So just giving a rough idea, you now wait till the next 10th of Muharram. And on the next 10th of Muharram, you quickly calculate all your savings, divide it by 40 on the calculator and give that much to zakat. Which means your savings fluctuate. So you can't wait for Ramadan, because what if you went down in Ramadan? So giving zakat in Ramadan is wrong because the calculation might be wrong. You miscalculated. Yours wasn't Ramadan. What you can do is, 10th of Muharram came and I found out, I calculated I need to give £300 to zakat. But the £300 in zakat I'm going to give in Ramadan. That's allowed because you've done the right calculation. You can say, I'll wait till Ramadan because in Ramadan the reward is increased. I'll get 70 times more reward. That's one of the main reasons why everybody, mainly the subcontinent people, they like to give it in Ramadan. So I can't judge. I don't know who's doing it the right way. Some people might be like, no, I know my date to start. I just wait for Ramadan to give it. I said, okay, fair enough. But your calculation was correct because it was 2 months ago or 3 months or 5. We don't know. It was outside of Ramadan, your actual date. So ho zakato date different. Khair shomanna. Ho ruzai bokilan. Ruzata আপনারা খালি দনীয় নি দনীয় ইসলাই যে সময় ওই সময় আপনারা ও তারিখ নোট করতে যে ইয়া রজব মাসের 15 তারিখের মাঝে আমার বেতন ইয়া হামাইছে আমি 1500 পাউন্ডের উপরে গেছিল কি চলদি ওগুন লিখিয়া তই কারণ নিসাবল উপরে গেছে কি এল্লা দেখি জানি এক বছর ফুরা হওয়ার পরে after 1 year rotates am I still above 1500 এর মাঝখানে যদি 200 ফোন যায় কি বা 400 ফোন যায় কি no problem at the end দেখো আরবার 1500 বা has it gone back to 1500. You give it. It doesn't matter if it goes up and down throughout the year. As long as it doesn't go to zero, there's a go. If it goes to zero, your date, scratch it off. It's not the 15th of Rajab anymore. It's gone to zero. I need to wait for the next time it creeps up again. As long as it doesn't hit the bottom. Khali kola. Did any kola? I got down on
Are we taking questions? Or?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
One of the things you mentioned about being a sole owner, what about shared ownership?
So you check your percentage only and then take it from that percentage. Right. So let's have a look now. So date. This is, I would say, a majority of us Bengalis in Hyde. I'm picking on the Bengalis, which I always do, because I know them very well. They all do Ramadan, and I don't think they understand why. They keep giving zakat in Ramadan. I'm not saying it's wrong, it will work, but how do you know your actual amount on the calculation date? Was it the amount you gave in Ramadan? What if it was slightly less? That means you underpaid zakat. So we don't know. So Sahib Nisab. So the zakat liability should be calculated every year thereafter on that date. So everyone's zakat date is personal. If a person cannot remember the date he first became Sahib Nisab, then he should best estimate that date. I can't remember, somewhere in March. What was March 2024? I need to find out what the Islamic month was. Just work it out or come to us. Nowadays apps can all do it for you. If you can ask ChatGPT, what was 24th of March 2024? What's the Islamic equivalent? And they'll give you the Islamic date. If a reasonable estimate of the date cannot be made, then a date should be fixed at random. Now if somebody goes, I don't remember stuff, I'm going to have to do Ramadan. I'm just going to go for it. That's fine. Because you don't have any clue when you became £1,500 richer. Right? The beginning of an individual zakat year may be fixed in Ramadan. The beginning of an individual zakat year may be fixed in Ramadan, but this is not necessary. However, it is true to say that giving charity in Ramadan yields greater reward than any other months. The only scary part is your money is fluctuating. It's going up, down, then it goes back to the threshold, then it goes higher than the threshold, and it goes up, down. And then by the time it gets somewhere here, and Ramadan is about somewhere here, let's say Ramadan is about somewhere here, then you're in trouble because you had quite a bit of money in Ramadan. Sorry, you're not in trouble. You've given more. If it's somewhere down here and it's Ramadan, then you're in trouble because you gave less. You based your 2.5% on that amount you had at the time in Ramadan when you were supposed to wait down here. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I'm sure you get the idea.
If your date falls, if your anniversary date of zakat is in Ramadan,
then it's fine. Yeah. But this is another problem. People give it at randomly Ramadan. Like, so this year they give on the 10th of Ramadan. Next year they give on the 20th of Ramadan. You shouldn't be doing that. Fix a date. So they're saying if you're not sure, at least fix a certain date. Where if you can fix it at random. So just say, okay, I don't know, I'm going to fix 15th of Ramadan. Or even better, I want 27th. Okay, that's fine. But fix the date at least. Don't randomly then suddenly, because money will fluctuate. All of a sudden, what if a thief came into your house and took all your money? Now, obviously, you've dropped now, haven't you? And you've only got X amount left. So the beginning of an individual zakat may be fixed in Ramadan, right? It makes no difference whether the wealth increases or decreases during the course of the year. Remember I said he started off at the end level and then went down, went up, went really down, didn't get to zero. Zero's down here. It just went up to £100, let's say. It went up again, up, down. And then whatever happens at the time of his date, that's 2.5% of that. Don't look back at the history. It doesn't matter if it goes up and down. If it gets to zero, yes, it does matter. Scratch the dates. You'll have to find a new zakat date now. Why did you hit zero? You got no savings. If you owe lots of money, like if you're in debt £5,000, you're in no position of giving zakat. People are waiting to receive money from you. So you can never give zakat until you paid your debts.
No, what about long-term and short-term debt?
Yeah, we'll get to that. So long-term, short-term debts, there's a difference. It's coming up. Short-term debts, yeah, you don't. You owe people. And they said pay as soon as you can. Long-term debts like your house payments, car payments, then we'll get to that later. You only take out, mention it now, you only take out the year's worth. The year's worth. So if it's like in my house, if I was to pay for throughout the year, I'll be paying at least a couple of £1,000. Take that amount off and then still check if you've got any savings left. Only lunar year, 1 lunar year later, if you possess the current nisab amount after deducting liabilities on the very same Islamic date, you must pay 2.5% on your wealth as zakat. This process will continue unless these are two, you're exempt from these two. Wealth equaling less than nisab amount on your zakat anniversary. Zakat anniversary came and now you've only got £1,000 left. That's all you do now, £1,500. That's not enough. So, Ustadh, I don't need to give any zakat. It's Ramadan, 15th of Ramadan, I fixed my date. I check my bank, I've only got £1,000 savings. I got no extra, no gold at home, no silver. Then we will say, no zakat this year. Can I still give some paisa to the poor? Yeah, but it's not called zakat, that's called sadaqah now. Oh, okay. The zakat is the obligatory one. So, and all of one's wealth is lost. I had all that money the day before. I was waiting one more day after. I've lost my money. I can't remember where I placed my money. So it knows zakat again. This is the good diagram. So imagine there's a guy called Zaid, and this is his zakatable asset. Now they're basing it on £350. Remember, they think it's £350 as nisab. 2022, April. Now it's gone up to 1,500. So let's base it on this diagram. So he had £350 in Muharram, in the year 1443, which means he needs to make a date like, oh, there you go, 10th of Muharram. I need to make sure if when it's 10th of Muharram again, 1444, I'm going to pay my zakat. So his money increases all the way up to that's gone up to 500 now. Then it drops down all the way to 200. During this period of the month. Then it's creeping up again, went to £400, went to £600, went to £700, it dropped again to £650, went all the way up to £800. He's in Ramadan now, it's gone up to £800. And then he decides, oh, shall I give in Ramadan? No, wait. If you give it, how do you know how rich and poor you're going to be when you get to here? So you need to wait. You can't just give Ramadan zakat, that won't work. So then he drops all the way in Dhul Qa'dah. He's dropped to £400, then he drops to 350, that's about 250 actually, then to 200, and then just when it's the zakat day, he shoots all the way up to £500. So all he needs to do is 500 divided by 40, and what's the calculation to that? That's how much he'll have to give for zakat. 500 divided by 40, his zakat he needs to pay on the 10th of Muharram will now be
12.5.
Yeah. 12.5. So he'll just pay £12.50. Done. Let's look at the second scenario. Zakat non-obligatory. This is obligatory one. Now in this one it says he doesn't need to give zakat. Why? He started off at 350. He kept the date, 10th of Muharram. It went up. Rabiul Awwal went down. Jamad al-Ula. Rajab went up again. Ramadan went really up. Dhul Qa'dah went down. And then Muharram he's gone below. This is the threshold. 350 was the threshold. Because he's gone down, no zakat. Zaid doesn't need to pay any zakat this year. He's gone down, he waited. Now he's going to have to wait till the next 10th of Muharram. Let it keep on fluctuating. Wait till the next 10th of Muharram. Any questions from online? I'm sure you've got loads of questions. Don't be shy. Unmute yourself, ask any questions. Or make a note of questions, ask on the chat if you want. Moving on, zakat year diagram. Zakat year reset, what's one of those? Remember I said he started off with 350 in Muharram. In Rabiul Awwal, it went quite high up. He went up to £500. Then he hit rock bottom. Rabiul Thani, he's got no savings. He spent it all. So because it reset now, that means it's gone to zero. That means Muharram, this one, scratch it off. No more Muharram, 10th Muharram. I can't count this one anymore. It's gone to zero. So what do I do now? So then it creeps off. In Jamad, it says here, Jamad al-Ula, when it was creeping up again, it just went past again. Can you see? So that's my new date now. Let's say 10th. 10th of Jamad al-Ula. I'm going to have to wait till it goes all the way back around to Jamad al-Ula. Because I am not paying zakat on this day. It reset it. It went down to zero. And then it creeped up again. So nothing to pay. Tamlik. What is tamlik? Tamlik is the most important word you need to memorize today. Tamlik means ownership. Bengali word malik, tamlik, maliki yawmiddin, owner of the day of judgment. Right? So tamlik means the owner, rich owner, needs to make the poor person owner of the zakat money. As soon as you do that, zakat is ada, fulfilled. If you don't do that, if you say, I don't want to give this poor guy my zakat, I know he's poor. Bichara, if I give him £100, first thing he's going to do is buy drugs. So it could be, in Bangladesh people say that, igure dile huzur, family kita kinbo, gure dile tamni. They had a korban edilai. People ask this question a lot. Shall I just make him a house instead or something? You look after this guy. If I just give it him, the thing is, tamlik won't be issued. Tamlik is you got to, and the tahar malik buy, and without, you can't, where's it gone? It says here, unconditional. You can't say, hey, Torata Ogundi, Koros, Gorbanais. You have to make a roof above your head. Tino roof this. You can khoili to zakat ada itona because tar zakat diya hoite by chahtu malik khoita martana kit he can spend it whatever he wants. Anale he ada malik. Tar malik bana hiba khoita khorosor tohtar. Yelo goita kizat malik. Although you made him half owner. So I know it sounds a bit bad. Like, but what if that's not your concern? You've given it to the poor, move away.
In terms of giving to charity,
yeah.
If that burden gets taken up and passed on to them, then.
Yeah, we'll get to that. When you're giving it to charity, charities are not liable, you are. If the charity accidentally takes a bit of percentage, if they do, let's say, for argument's sake, that means your zakat wasn't issued properly. 10% was gone to elsewhere. They gave 90% of your zakat. They took 10. Imagine. Then it's still pending on you. You're sinful, not the charity. Charity, yeah, they've got their own sins for not doing it properly. But it's outstanding. Later on, somebody said to you, oh, you didn't know you gave it to that charity. The 25% Baki 75% they only issue it. So he goes, oh, inna lillah, I'm going to have to give that outstanding amount. Yeah, you're going to have to. So
last year, Zakat, আমি তো 1000 পাউন্ড দিছি আমি তো কইতে পারতাম না তারা 25% রাখছে কি না রাখছে এটা তো আমি
না তারা যখন হইয়া থাকে তো we are zakat eligible তে তারা নিত না no as long as again we will do our checks মানে আলিম উলামা হলা সইনি আর এমনি চারিটিতে খুলি দিছে আমার zakat তো আমার এতিমখানা আছে আমার zakat তো এলান কইন মানছে বাট ইটার মাঝে কন্ডিশন স্ট্রিক্ট কন্ডিশন আছে এতিমরে মালিক বানাইতই পারে এতিমে কইতে পারে না তার টাকা আর যে মেসাবে খালি খাইরা ওইতো নাই নকবে এটা এতিমখানা আমি খানি দিলাম শহরে বাটিয়া সো ফয়লা তারার জানাই তুই বা দে তোমার তানোর খানির ঠেকা আর তুমি তাই একটা জানিয়া রাখিও এটা তারা জানতো তারা কইবে এটা আমরা ওনা তারা যখন কই না না আমরা খানি যাই না আমরা টাকা দাও কারণ তারা কইতে পারো প্রতিবাদ করতে পারবো আপনি ঠেকে যাবেন তারপর দেখলাই নিবা আমারে এটা তার হক he can say I'm an orphan don't feed me give me the money. Now the person who gave the money for the food for the orphan is batil. He'll say, I don't want that food. You're putting conditions on me. I'd rather have the money. I can live off a date. Give me the rest of the money. I'd rather pocket it.
Some of the family members say, look, we're going to raise money collectively.
Yeah.
The family in Bangladesh.
Yeah.
With that zakat eligible.
Yeah.
Or they haven't done any checks on them, but they're just saying they're poor. But we're not sure.
Yeah, that happens a lot in Bangladesh. But I'll tell you how to check. Check means, are they under 1,500 pounds? Most likely they are. And do they have any personal possessions, personal items, which if they were to sell, will that put them above 1,500? If it does, they're not poor. That's the check. Now, that's quite hard to do. You're going to have to... Tomorrow, we're sending you takas in Bangladesh. You're saying you're poor. How come when I went to your village, I saw loads of mobile phones? What are you doing with 5 mobile phones? So that means your zakat adayusin. That means your zakat was not fulfilled because you should have done that check before. This guy's just conned you. He said he's poor. He said he doesn't have a tin roof, which he's not bothered. He's more into his Instagram and Facebook. Now you can imagine Bangladesh Wi-Fi. They probably want all that more than anything. So you really have to check. If he's got his personal phone, the dairy phone, the dairy, Zinishotta best ever best. Yeah, to me, you are now the owner of NISA. If you sell your personal items, we're not forced to sell personal items if we're naturally above NISA. But that's why are people poor in UK? There are poor people in UK. Your own brother, your own sister, you can give zakat to if you find out they don't have a job, they don't have a roof, they're living under their mom's house, and they don't have any. You check the items; they're only wearing the basic clothes, not any extra. Not any extra. He's not got loads of pairs of shoes because then you can question that. You can sell that on Vintage or eBay, and then check if that amount, what's the value of those shoes. So it is quite tricky when somebody says, I'm family in Bangladesh, give it to me. You've got to scrutinize it. So the transfer, tamlik, zakat, will only be considered to be paid when tamlik is found. If there's no tamlik, no zakat. Just the other day, a sister was asking as well, she texted, I didn't know, it was just a number, saying, can I build a well? Can I make a house? What's the answer? No, there's no tamlik. You're making a well? I made a well for the poor village people no tamlik. Make them the owner, they can spend on whatever they want. If they then said, right, mashallah, we received loads of zakat, let's make a well, that's up to them. Or if they say, please, somebody make a well for us. We're poor, we need a well. Now you can give zakat because they're demanding it. They're saying, that's the one thing we need. Is that understood? However, I would avoid well. Well is dangerous because from that well, if a rich person drinks from it, it's void again. It's public. So stay away from public things. House is different. So then it says ownership of the zakat. Tamlik means the transfer of ownership from the zakat payer to the needy person. Tamlik will only take place with the following conditions. The transferor must be the zakat payer of his or her agent. The transferee, the recipient, must be a natural living person entitled to receive zakat and not a legal entity. Don't give it to an organization. It has to be a person. And that's tamlik. You don't proper tamlik now. If you give it to an organization and they're going to execute it for you, fulfill it, then that's fine. But do check, keep an eye on the organization. So can you send me pictures? Is it a shafwan? I gave you £100. Can you show me you've given that 100? Can I have the receipt? Can that person say, yes, I received £100? Okay, I'm happy now. Go ahead.
Like, when you said about the well,
yeah.
If you create the well for them, then can you drink from it?
Me? No, again, because I'm not poor. Same thing. I should be building hospitals because only poor people can use. How's that possible? You're telling me somebody above Nisab can't walk in, and so it's public. Anything public, stay away from. We can't accept zakat for madrasa. We can't accept zakat for masjid. It's not a person. So the transfer must not be how do you pronounce this? Remuneration. My English is not good. Or consideration for services. So you can't say, oh, the he was cleaning my house, bichara, and I paid him with the niyyah of zakat. Not allowed. That's salary. Don't do that. Ita tarbeton. So you give him his wage, not from zakat. Right? So again, a poor man cannot be paid for his work from zakat, nor can zakat be given in payment of anyone's services, except when the Islamic government pays salary to a person appointed for zakat. That's different. We don't live in Islamic government here. Islamic government appoints people who are now zakat collectors. They have no other salary. They can be given zakat. That's if you're in that condition. It doesn't apply to us here. The transferee must acquire thingy. He turned on the left hand. Do you know how to turn that red switch on, please? Yeah. The transferee must acquire possession and become owner of the funds unconditionally. I'm so going to highlight this because this particular slide will answer thousands of your questions today. Everybody's always texting me, can I build this? Can I build that? Can I give it to the mosque? Can I give it to the madrasa? It's not a person. But how come this madrasa says they're zakat eligible? Then they must be following strict rules. Like here in Rawdatul Ilm, I'm probably going to say this for the first time. Somebody wanted to give zakat, so we have this rule. that here, anyone who's an orphan, and in Islamic definition, orphan is somebody who doesn't have a dad and they're not reached the age of puberty. So I said, any child who studies here who does not have a father, their father's passed away, mothers are widows and they're sending their kids, we say free education, we don't charge them a penny. Like that, this is just a rule, right? So we've got quite a few students like that. Or we've had students here who suddenly their dad passed away. Straight away, we send them a message, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un, as of next month, please don't pay anything, stop your direct debit. We are supported, we're here to help, right? We want your child to learn, become Quran Hafiz or something like that. This is a rule me and my wife, we thought it'd be nice because the hadith is clear. It says, the Prophet says, Ana wa kafilul yatim. I and the one who looks after the yatim, fil jannati hakada, will be in Jannah like this. And he put his fingers together and said, Allah Rasulullah said, yatim don't look after her. So, Angul did the Hassan, best oh, subhanallah. So I thought at least they local yatims, they are still yatim. So we look after them. Now, somebody can come around and say, can I pay the fees for those kids? That's zakat eligible. But again, I have to be very careful. I'm like, hold on. Yatim child, come over here. Mother, can you come over here? Widow mother. Somebody wants to pay the fees for Rawdatul Ulama. Are you okay with that? It means you're going to be full ownership of that money. You don't have to spend the fees. You can take the whole money. I have to say that. And they're like, yeah, no, that's fine. We don't mind because we want to give to the madrasa, but obviously we're not financially. So I said, that's the only Rawdatul Ilm strict policy of can you give zakat? Well, again, I don't advertise this because go give zakat to people who are really poor, So accidentally some zakat have entered our accounts. It says reference zakat. We tell them don't give zakat to Rawdatul Ilm, but if it has come in, I'll have to carefully manage that now. I'll have to call an orphan child and their mother into the office. I'll have to probably take out the money, give them the cash in their hand and say, here's the money someone's given us zakat. We can't touch that. If you want to, you can pay the fees. We don't charge orphans, but if you want to put that, they said, yeah, yes, Ustadh, you can keep. So I'd rather not deal with that. It's very tricky. Right, so the transfer must be, next part. Rules regarding zakat. Well, inshallah, we'll finish on time, 3 o'clock. Rules regarding zakat. Zakat cannot be given or used for the construction of masjid, madrasas, hospitals, wells, bridges. Why? These are all public. Bridge anyone can use. These are not just specific for poor people. Even if the madrasa is specific for poor people, again, it's the managing of that money. It's very risky now. Mesab, is he trustable? Alim, Maulvi Sahib, is he really going to bring the family over? Is he going to explain someone's given this much paisa for zakat? You can spend it however you want, but however it would help if you give. So we can't put any pressure on them. So they'll have to proper check it as zakat. Poor students can be given a bursary from zakat if the student is of an understanding age. Zakat must be given to him personally, and if he is not of an understanding age, then his shari'i wakil parent must be given possession of the amount. Zakat can be paid in kind from the same merchandise on which it is due. So if somebody has loads of phones and he goes, look, I'll give you the phone as a zakat instead of the cash. You can give it as kind rather than the money itself. So you can give the merchandise itself, or you can give the cash and make them the owner. Authority can be delegated to another person or an organization for distribution of zakat in order that it be utilized in accordance with the laws of zakat. Again, I would strictly say, please don't give it to any random organization. Look for a charity organization that has a lot of scholars in there, especially like Hanafi scholars who are quite strict in making sure it's following the right methodology. So Ummah Welfare Trust, they are the ones who provide our banners. They give a lot of free stuff to us, mashallah. Ummah Welfare Trust are the corner. That from the very beginning is UK's first ever non-profit organization, not non-profit, zero, 100% ownership. They were the first for years. Now almost everyone's claiming it. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying they've always done it from day one. Scholars, and they're very strict in even the events. They don't do these big events. You'll notice, hiring big theaters, because where's all that money coming from? It's questionable. Who pays the venues? I'm sure that's come from donations. So they're very careful. They'll only come into a mosque to a little event, and that's it. But they are very busy. A lot of people, scholars do trust them, and although I'll give them a shout out because people do ask a lot. Who can we, this is one organization I can say without a doubt, at least, it's been checked. Maulana Abdul Rakib's worked for them. We've got Maulana, is it Umar? from Hyde. He also works for them. So we've got local people who do work for this organization. Poor students can be given right. Zakat can be paid, right? Authority can be, if a person requests someone to give a certain amount on his behalf as zakat, and that sum is given out, then the zakat will be valid. The sum given will be debt upon the one who made this request. So if an agent is given zakat for distribution, you give it to a charity, and he does not distribute the zakat, zakat will not be regarded as fulfilled, and the sin of not discharging the obligatory duty of zakat will remain burden on whom it was fard. It was fard on the person to give zakat. So be careful who you choose. To whom zakat can be given. The Quran mentions 8 people you can give zakat to. Fuqara, poor people. Poor people, these are people who do have a house, but they're not above 1,500. They're never above that. They're always below that. So technically they are poor. So most people in Bangladesh who claim they are poor, but they do have a house, they live in houses, but they say, zakat, you know, they're not going to say zakat. But you can give them zakat because they're fuqara. It says here they're poor who possesses more than their basic needs. They have just about enough, but they don't have the nisab. They're always below nisab. Okay, that's fine. They're just about get by their day. They can just about afford their food daily, but they can't reach 1,500 pounds. Masakeen are even in a worse situation. People who are destitute, they're extremely needy, and they have to beg for food every day. Tara khuza lage khani lagi. Era aro gorib. So masakeen Allah era rediyo zakat. Al-amilin are people who work for the government for zakat. That doesn't apply anymore. Mu'allafatul qulub, people who are reverse new Muslims and then no one to look after them. Their parents have kicked them out of the house and you want to support them. Umar radiallahu anhu is of the opinion that doesn't apply anymore. Ar-riqab, that doesn't apply to us. Slaves. So a slave says, will you help me? My master said if I pay him 2,000 pounds, I'm free. But I don't have 2,000 pounds. Give me zakat money. So that's fine. If there's, again, slaves don't apply to us anymore. Al-gharimin, zara one khoroz ase. Zara khoroz martafardana. People are in debt. Those persons that have a debt and do not possess any other wealth or goods which they could repay. They don't have any possessions, personal items, which they could have sold online. So you've checked it, they're poor, they're in debt, you want to get them out of debt, then make sure that their debt is not for something haram. If it goes, I'm in debt, I just gambled it all away, you're gambling for not helping you out. If it says, I'm in debt, you know, I just got bills to pay and it's very difficult, you know, and I got this person, you know, I did borrow 5,000 pounds off him for an extension and now I can't pay him back. Please, if you can help me. Have you got no other money? No. Nothing you can sell in your house to get online? No, nothing. Okay, you can help him out. So, fi sabilillah, those persons that carry out a fard deed, which has become obligatory upon them, they have to carry out a fard. They want to go for Hajj and they carried out on them and subsequently, due to loss of wealth, are unable to complete that fard. So you can just assist them. I don't know how much is hard now. Hajj, 7,000-8,000 poundish average. So somebody almost, you know, had everything to pay for. Let's say he paid the whole amount and then he just got stuck by a few amount. You can help him out. And then he says, Wabnis Sabil. This is somebody who's traveling. He may be a billionaire, but he's found stranded in the middle of the desert. His plane crashed. He needs to get from A, the desert, to at least his house B, and he's got nothing on him. So you can help him with zakat, even though he's rich. That's Wabnis Sabil. So persons that cannot be given zakat. Zakat cannot be given to Banu Hashim. Who are Banu Hashim? Family of Hashim. They are the progeny of Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, Abbas radiallahu anhu, Ja'far is the brother of Ali radiallahu anhu, Aqil is also the brother of Ali radiallahu anhu, and Harith is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's uncle, Harith ibn Abdul Muttalib, and excludes the progeny of Abu Lahab. If you're the children of Abu Lahab, no, they can have zakat. They're not considered as holy. Zakat cannot be given to parents. Never, no matter how poor your mom and dad are, a son cannot give zakat to his dad. He can help his parents out, but it's not called zakat. That's just going to be sadaqah. Just remember that. So it goes up, not only your dad, even your dad's dad. So you got you can't give to your ascendants and you can't give to your descendants as well. Children, grandchildren, you can't give zakat to children. Right? And zakat cannot be given to husband and wife can't give zakat to each other. Vice versa, not allowed. So my brothers, বাফে বাপ মারে জাকাত দেওয়া যাইতে না কিন্তু শাশুড়ি ঠিক আছে, এটা আসল মানে। আমার শাশুড়ি গরিব, আমি দিলাইলাম। My mother-in-law is ill, she doesn't know, I'm just gonna give her something to eat for Eid. There you go, 200 pounds, inshallah. She doesn't know it's my zakat, but I don't want her to know it's my zakat. Hadiyah. Just say hadiyah, because you don't want to embarrass them. So zakat can be given to a brother or sister. Bhai boinentore zakat deoa jay, bagna bagnintore deoa jay, and a nephew, niece, right? Uncle or aunts you can give, because they're not direct ascendants, no, or descendants. Step grandmother, step grandfather, father-in-law, mother-in-law, provided they do not possess nisab. Check though. Zakat contributions cannot be given to such institutions, organizations who do not give rightful recipients. There are some organizations, they say, give us zakat eligible. Then when you check, they're not even giving it to any of these 8 people on the screen. They're just giving it to zakat for the well. Zakat, what are you doing? So that's what we need to check. Zakat cannot be given to non-Muslims. Did you know that? Non-Muslims you can never give zakat to, but that's an obligatory charity. Even your wajib, for this zakat, what's wajib? Your donations, sadaqatul fitr is wajib. What else is wajib? You've got the what's it called? Daniel, can I kindly, is it Daniel or Yahya? Yeah, will you get me that plug, please? Am I charged? Does that iPad? There's a charger there just underneath there, that one. And then if you just plug it into one of these flaps, thank you. This is that one. So non-Muslims, you can't give any obligatory ones. So you can't give your sadaqatul fitr. You can't give kafara. You know, kafara is like you made a promise and you broke your promise. Now you're gonna have to give kafara. And it's an amount that you have to pay. That needs to go to Muslims. Nadar, I swear to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if I pass my driving test, if I pass my GCSE or my big A levels, if I pass my test, or if this had a hope and if it fulfills, I promise to Allah I will give £100 to charity. This £100 is now wajib. Can you give that to non-Muslim? No, only Muslim. Just remember that. So what can you give to non-Muslims then? You might be asking. Like, can we not give them charity? Yeah, you can, but it's not called zakat. Just nafal sadaqah. You see anyone in Asda, the food bank, this is not zakat, sadaqah. If one cannot determine whether the recipient is needy or not, then it is better to make certain before giving zakat. If you have shock, if you have doubt, it is better to make certain before giving them zakat. If zakat is given without inquiry, তুমি ইনকোয়ার করলাই না, তুমি দেখলাই না সত্য গরিব কিনা, আর বাদে তুমি ফাইন্ড আউট করছো গরিব না, আরবার দোয়ারা দো, আর খেউরে দো. Subsequently is known that his recipient is wealthy, then zakat is not valid, it must be given all over again. Yalla, সাইশে ফোন দিলাইলাম, তা আরবার সাইশে ফোন দোয়ালা গুনে যাও, আর খেউরে দো আল্লাহ. এগুলো দেখুন দেখে খাইলিছে. Right. So then zakat will not be fulfilled by purchasing books for institutions, land purchased for public utility and made waqf. Zakat cannot be used for kafan. So a poor person died. Nowadays, the high funerals brothers, they'll tell you, 3,500 to almost 4,000 pounds to bury someone. It's expensive to die. I know that sounds funny. So 3,500 pounds to purchase, get yourself land from the council, burial, kafan, everything, hearse. All that is going to cost you average 3,500 pounds to 4,000 pounds. So if a poor person, somebody who doesn't have that money, now if everyone in Hyde gathers and says, this bichara was poor, zakat eligible? No, don't say that. Why not? What was the rule for zakat? Tamlik. What's tamlik? Ownership transfer from rich to the poor. He's dead, there's no more transfer. So the poor guy is dead, so now you can't, zakat, you can buy kafan, but you can't give your zakat to kafan. It has to be sadaqah. So a deceased person's debt cannot be paid from zakat. He's died and he owes 10,000 pounds. Now everyone's saying, where's my money? Everyone's saying, come on, everyone, help this person. People are owed money by this person who's died now. So give your zakat, not allowed. No zakat. Zakat on debts and other assets. Debts and other assets can be divided into 3 distinct sections. Debts owned by oneself, debts payable to others, and other assets. Bad debt, strong debt, weak debt. Let's go into all of them. Bad debt do not need to be added to one's zakat assets. What's a bad debt? We'll get to that. Strong debts need adding to zakatable assets even before they are received, whereas weak debts need adding to zakatable assets only after they are received. What's a strong debt? I lent somebody £1,000 and he said he'll pay me back 3 years later. I've given him a time. Do I add that 1,000 every year to my zakat? Yeah, I do. Because that's a strong debt. You know, we've written a contract, he's going to pay me in 3 years. It is my money. The 1,000 he's holding in his bank, that's my money, it's not his. So I have to add that. So strong debt needs adding zakatul assets even before received. I just keep on adding it. I've not received it yet. But when I receive it, I'll also add it as well. But it's still mine. It's like he's keeping it for me. Weak debts need adding to whereas weak debts need adding to zakatable assets only after they are received. Let's find out what they are now. Now, strong debt, inclusive in zakat calculation even before they are received. It is best to add strong debt receivables to one's total assets and discharge zakat yearly. A strong debt is where you are waiting to receive money you have loaned to someone, personal loans made to friends, family, anyone else, trade debtors, so who purchase goods. That's still a strong debt. He said he'll pay me 1 year later. I've sold the car. But my zakat date is next month. So when I say, I should be receiving £3,000 from this person. Yeah, you're going to dorta. Right? So you add that. Just think of it as it's part of your savings. So it says here, inclusive trade debtors. And then you've got weak debt. Inclusion in zakat calculation only after they are received. Zakat is not compulsory on such debt. Now, weak debt, durbal debt, these ones. A weak debt is when you are waiting for one of the following: wages. I should be receiving £1,000 from my boss and he's not paid me. He keeps saying, yeah, he'll pay me, he'll pay me. So it's like, ya Allah, do I pay zakat on this or what? You know, so it's weak debt. They said only pay it when you receive it. Don't backtrack. Don't calculate the 3 years that he's not paid you and then he pays you on the 4th year. So again, dowry owed to wife. So that's for the wife now. She's like, is my husband going to pay me the 10K or what? So again, only when you've received it, right? Pensions, again, wait till you receive it. Doesn't matter if they say that you've got thousands waiting in there. Unpaid rental for landlord, outstanding bequest payment. This is quite interesting, the last one. So your father passed away and it's been promised that his assets will be given to you, but it's still not been given. It's been a couple of years. So again, just pay zakat once you receive it. Bad debt situations. Debtor acknowledges existence of debt. If the debtor, whether solvent or insolvent, acknowledges existence of the debt, then the debt is not excluded from creditor's zakat liability. So the borrower, the one who borrowed money, he acknowledges the existence of the debt. He knows there is a debt. If the debtor, whether solvent or insolvent, acknowledges existence of the debt, then the debt is not excluded from the creditor's zakat liability. Can you get that? Do you understand that? Debtors denies existence of debt. If the debtor denies existence of the debt and it also cannot be established, then it is not subject to zakat. If somebody owes you money and he's denying it, then you know for sure he owes you 2,000. He says, I don't owe you 2,000. Don't pay it. That's not your fault. And I don't think I'm going to get that back. I'm not going to argue with him. And I clearly know he has my 2,000. So that's one rule. I don't understand the first one. I think it's something along the same lines. Debts payable to others. Deductible liability, outstanding, no, not future, basic living expenses which has not been received, good purchased on credit, outstanding salaries, payable service fee, unpaid dowry to one's wife, assuming one intends to pay this during the year, short-term loans and long-term loans, right? So short-term loans, this is when a loan has to be paid back within the Islamic year as soon as possible. This can be deducted. Long-term loans, you don't deduct the whole amount. It's a big amount. It's probably for your halal mortgage, your house. So you're not going to deduct all of that. All that you're never going to pay zakat. You only deduct an annual's worth. Right? Or only the following year's payment can be deducted. Note, if someone has taken out a conventional interest-based mortgage, this is very important. If you're not on a halal mortgage, but it's one that has interest on it, then only the following year's repayment part of the loan can be deducted, not the interest. Pensions, same thing when you receive it. final salary pensions, these are pensions which our individual receives after retirement. There is no zakat on such a pension before receiving it. Money purchase and personal pension schemes. I'll share this slide. You can read it in your own time. Got a bit of a Kahoot as well, just quickly to test your knowledge. Pensions continued. They've done. I've read into this. It's self-explanatory. They've said if someone's got, they're going to, for example, Akil has an equity pension fund, so he has this. So he's got 27%, of for which the proxy value is 27%. His pension fund has a total of £40,000. We've given a figure. Zakat liability, 27% of the 40,000 is 10,800, and then zakat payable is on the 10,800, which is 2.5% of that, 270. Common transactions, deposit, money deposit for safekeeping or given to another party or guardianship is zakatable. This question comes a lot. I'm saving up to buy a house. Do I need to pay? Because I'm trying to, that's a lot of money to pay zakat on. If you're given a deposit, money deposited for safekeeping or given to another party for guardianship is still zakatable. But down payments, a purchaser is not the owner of the funds forwarded in a down payment. Thus, money given as a deposit in a down payment is not subject to zakat. If you're giving down payment of 10% or 20% of the house, so to secure the house, you still need to give zakat. No, you won't need to give zakat on the rest because now it's going through. Unless there's still a chance of you to take back that money, then you have to pay zakat on that money. The moment it's no longer, it's legal binding that you've fulfilled the transaction now, it's not your money anymore. You're just holding on to, waiting for the signatures to take place. Insurance premiums, zakat is not payable on insurance premiums. Benefit, zakat is payable on the beneficiary of working tax, universal credit, basically. If you receive anything, you add those as well. Zakat on business stock, zakat is compulsory on those items that were purchased when the intention, with the intention of resale. If you buy any item with the intention that you want to sell it again, that's zakatable. And they've given what's zakatable. Any money in business account, finished goods, and unfinished goods, they're all zakatable. For example, if a sister sells cakes at home, she will buy self-raising flour, for example, she will buy sugar, she'll buy eggs, she will buy some milk. Now, if she's made the cakes, she sells the cakes for £5, one cupcake, let's just, for example. So for every cupcake that she's already made, she'll have to price them up at market price, £5. If she hasn't made it yet, then she sells them goods at the value cost price. I've still got 3 bags of flour, and each flour cost me X amount. Then you base it on those prices. You know, I've got the sugar packets cost me like £2 each, for example. I've got 3 of those, that's £6. I add that to the zakat because I've not made the cake yet. So yeah, it gets a bit complex. I'll see if I can share this, but you get the gist of how this is going. Zakat on shares. Purchase shares to resell. If I buy a share for £5 and I want to quickly sell that share for £10, then it's same as merchandise again. Add £10 to your zakat, not £5. If you purchase shares with the intention of receiving annual dividends, then this is where it becomes a bit long-winded. Zakat will be compulsory on the dividends on the percentage of zakatable assets of the business. Once again, it's only on the business, not on their delivery drivers, not on their shelves and all that. They've given an example. For example, suppose I purchase some shares from a particular firm worth £100, for example. 10% of the company's assets are in a form of material, 10% form of cash, 10% produce good, 10% assets are goods which are under process of being manufactured, total 40%. On the other hand, 60% I don't pay zakat for, is for their machinery, land, furniture, cars. Then total, in this case, zakat will be obligatory on only 40% of the shares. For example, $40. So he spent $100 on the shares, he'll only give 40. That's how you work it out. Zakat on shares continued, it mentions the same thing again. So for the 60%, you don't pay zakat. You bought a share in this, you spent £100. There it is, there's £100. You're only going to give zakat on the 40%, that's £40. In this case, zakat will be obligatory only on 40% of the shares, i.e. £40, if the share cost you £100. There, the total zakat payable will be 2.5% of £40, which is £1. Intention is the most important thing. If you don't have intention of zakat, your zakat won't be fulfilled. So when you're giving the money, make sure you intend this is zakat. Whoever's receiving it, they're receiving it as hadiyah. That's fine. Don't tell them it's zakat. They don't need to know. So intention is very, very. If you put money aside for zakat, you said, I put it, I've locked it in a safe. This is my zakat money. When you then gave the zakat, you didn't make intention. That's still fine because you put the money aside for zakat. So intention was made initially. And we'll leave it there. Living example, and we'll end with this. On the 14th of Rabiul Awwal, Zayd had £5,000 in his bank account. In the month of Rajab, Zayd had a hit. He had a hit, a low, and due to expenditure, had only £300 to his name. From £5,000, he dropped all the way to £300. This was not equal to Nisab, 350, remember? By the 14th of Rajab, 1444, exactly 1 year later, Zayd's financial situation had improved. He now has £200 in his hands and a further £4,000 in his bank account. He also has money owed to him by Ahmed, who owes him £80. Umar owes him £100. Zayd himself owes Ahmed another 240. How do you calculate this? Zayd also has gold, which is worth £1,000. Zayd also has his business, in which his trade stock has always fluctuated, but he has never fallen to bankruptcy. At the time of Zakat anniversary, the selling price of his goods were worth 7,000. So they do the maths. He has £200 cash on the Zakat date. We're talking about 14th of Rajab. And he has 4,000 in the bank. £180 was owed. There's £80 from Ahmed and £100 from Umar. So he's owed £180. He's got £1,000 worth of gold, £7,000 worth of trade stock. Add that, take away that, because he owes someone £240. Total 12,140. Divide that by 40 and you get how much zakat is going to pay? £303.50. That's how you work out zakat. Inshallah. Hope that's been quite productive. Any questions? We'll start a Kahoot while I take questions. Anyone online got any questions? I'll quickly check. We've got one question online, I believe. How do you view the question? Right, let's start the example. If I give a trusted middleman my zakat on my anniversary date, but the money doesn't get given the recipient until 1 month later, then does my zakat only get fulfilled when I discharge the money to the middleman, or only when the recipient gets the money? What's the answer? It's a good question. I gave my zakat date to somebody, and then he fulfilled it a month later. When did my zakat get fulfilled? Has my part been done because I gave it on the date? Is it fulfilled? No. The other person, tamleek hasn't taken place. Soon as the transfer takes place, now zakat issued. So yeah, your zakat was given 1 month late. You're not sinful. It was still issued because we're still based on the correct. So yeah, thank you for that question. Any other questions online? Either by chat or you can ask, unmute yourself and you can ask. We have 13 people online. We'll start the Kahoot, inshallah, and then if you still have questions during the Kahoot, just ask. And inshallah, get your phones out. There's only a handful of us here. Those of you online, please join this zakat.
Yeah.
Jibe.
You mentioned earlier on hospitals, right? The cost.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah, switch it off. Awful. Continue. Sorry,
does
go
it
ahead.
apply on hospitals? But what if this hospital is serving, say, 80% for the poor?
And 20% non-poor, that'll invalid straight away. Because zakat, the transfer has to be 100%. 100% poor needs to receive all of your money. The moment it goes to the hospital, and then if the hospital says, no, we have a department where we only deal with poor people, and that's where the zakat goes. If there's strict and there's Maulvis there looking over that, maybe. I'll say, well, you have to do that investigation. Are they doing that? Because then I've got shock, I don't know. There's a percentage difference. Rich cannot benefit from your zakat at all. If one rich person goes into the hospital, it's about it.
No, for the rich, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that hospital I'm talking about, they have to pay their own.
Rich person has to pay for their own hospital. Achha. And did the zakat go towards the hospital itself? Very tricky one. It's a very true, because the entity now, it's not a person. Original zakat by the Prophet ﷺ is given to a bichara. It goes to bichara, not to any building, not to any.
Yeah, but it seems nowadays, right, these bicharas are not easy to I mean, like we living here, we don't find bicharas like you would find, say, back home or whatever.
Send him a message.
Yeah, someone's got a question online. I can hear you.
Well,
I just-
Assalamu alaikum, Ustadh. Sorry, I was
Assalamu
trying to do the chat and it wasn't working. I think I sent you a message.
Oh, go ahead.
Obviously, in the current age, many people do use many of these online charities.
Yeah.
How do you ensure tamleek?
That's our investigation. It's upon us. If they don't issue the tamleek, later on you find out. If they say to you, we do tamleek, clearly, we're very transparent. That's our job. We don't give our money to any organization without checking. So, like I said, Ummah Welfare Trust, you can give it blindly because there's just scholars and scholars who deal with that one. Those who, other charities that have been opened, we don't know. Are there scholars behind it? Are they being given the final say? Are they looking over? Is tamleek being issued? That's a key word. You ask the charity, is full 100% tamleek being issued? If they say yes, then by all means you can, and you trust them, then give it. It's fine. Allah Ta'ala knows best. They said, we do tamleek. Full, we give it to full. We don't take a penny extra from your zakat. You give £100, all £100 goes to the poor individual. Then it's fine. But again, investigation comes back on us. If 10 years later you found out there was no tamleek, you have to re-give that zakat again. That zakat has not been issued properly. Only 3 people online. Phone, uncle. Have you done it? Let's have a good game. It's going to be so easy to be first, second, and third in this game. Whoever's not, you can share this with your family members as well. Just share this code. Just tell them everybody join. We'll have a quick game. जी आशा से नहीं भाई बार
95% নাই
না তে দিতাই না তে কই ভাই আল্লাহ আমি দিমু জুন ফাই আমি দিমু কারণ না ফাই মু কি না কেন আমি দিলাম না zakat. It's not called a strong day, it's called a weak day. Right, let's begin. Shall we? Okay, bismillah. Right. 10 questions, very easy. If you listen to everything I've said, you should be the winner, inshallah. Last time, was it brothers who won or sisters? I can't remember. Zakat is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, true or false? Oh, Mikhail, you should have played. I should have given you my phone. What's the pin? 8633. All right, next question. All right, mashallah, sisters are winning. Come on, brothers. Question 2. What is the literal meaning of zakat? Do you remember? To worship, to pay, to donate, to purify. Wow, mix answers. To worship one person, subhanallah. It is act of worship though, I guess. On whom is zakat not for this flipped question? Zakat is not for on one of these individuals. A child. Well done. Question 4. Which of these is not a zakatable asset? Diamond. Doesn't matter how many diamonds you have, you don't have to calculate that. Well done. What is the nisab of gold? Do you remember the digits? How many grams? That might be a tricky one because you only saw it on the screen for a few seconds. Oh, mashallah. 87.48 grams. True or false? Double points. The nisab of silver is 812.36 grams. False. It's 612.36 grams. Question 7. The zakat year starts only when it's Ramadan, you receive your first salary, when you become mature, when you become Sahib al-Nisab, excellent. There's still some Ramadan guy out there. He's not learned anything, has he? Or she. What is tamlik? Can you define it? Excellent. To transfer of ownership from the rich to the poor. Zakat cannot be given to one of these individuals. Excellent, Masjid. And the last question, let's find out. Sisters are winning. Where is our brothers? Shines up. You can do it. Last question. True or false? The faster you tap it, you get the answer correct. Zakat can be given to your spouse, true or false? Fast as you can. False. Excellent. Third place. Let's find out. Oh, I think the sisters have done it. Was it brothers last time though? I believe the brothers won last time, was it? Yeah, alhamdulillah. Shall let them win this time then. Sister Rabi, well done, mashallah. We learned a lot. Any suggestions on what we should do next? I think